Hi guys, you want to hear a review?
You didn't even laugh too. Okay.
Okay.
So as long as we haven't scared you off yet.
I want to have that for the thumbnail for the Facebook page.
Welcome back to MTCN team.
Welcome back.
Is that what we're called? Awesome.
You would know if you actually did any promotion of the fucking thing.
Are you kidding? I linked at least one of them.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have, just not on Facebook.
Which one?
I Frankenstein.
Motherfucker. All right. Okay.
Where did you link it on MySpace?
Tumblr.
Okay, that's why I haven't seen it.
Yes.
Okay.
We are not popular on Tumblr.
Surprise, surprise. Maybe that will change. Hint, hint. Anyway.
All right, so
don't pressure me. All right, so we're here to talk about a movie. So we're here to talk about Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yes,
yes.
As we all know, I'm a
the
huge fan.
superhero with more adjectives than team-ups.
For the bunch.
Which is totally not true. He teams up with everybody.
Yeah. Of course, I'm a big fan, obviously. Spider-Man wallet. I got a Spider-Man keychain. I got all kinds of weird shit. I dress with Spider-Man every fucking week.
And he also does it for work.
Yes.
So obviously this one involves kind of controversy because, you know, it's kind of doing the same shit that Spider-Man 3 did that didn't do very well, which is like the 3 villain scheme.
Although the last one is tagged on at the very end. Yeah,
but no one knew that before the movie came out. Well, not until the director basically said, yeah, he's not in the movie for very long. Yep. I liked it all right.
Yeah, no, actually, I personally feel that this is the best Spider-Man movie we've received yet.
Really?
Now, that being said, this is akin to saying that Man of Steel was the best Superman movie in 20 years. It doesn't take much.
Oh, you're gonna get so many hate comments for that one. I am not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Well...
That's gonna get us angry comments. None of the horrible comments before. How dare you didn't like Superman 2? Anyway.
Fans are rather split on Man of Steel, but that's another topic.
That's another topic. Watch this Man of Steel review if you want that info.
That being said, no, I got a big kick out of this. I had a lot of fun watching it.
I was thoroughly entertained. There was some stuff that kind of bothered me. Other stuff I really liked.
I'm curious what bothered you.
Just the fact that it did feel, a lot of it was really kind of just smushed together, pretty much. A lot of the elements came. Granted, I feel like if any of these elements were done separately, it would have been great. But it's like so much of it going so much together just felt like it was trying to do too much too soon, kind of thing.
No.
And you know, a lot of it comes down to production pressure as well, because they want to get the Sinister Six movie out in a couple of years. They want the Venom movie. They want the Spider-Man 3 and 4 and shit like that. And then, of course, they want to get all these different movies out there, so they got to set it up. I mean, I'm all for seeing the Sinister Six on the big screen. Don't get me wrong. Sure. But it's more just at what cost kind of thing. That being said, I kind of wish this was more about the Green Goblin than Electro.
Although Jamie Foxx did an excellent job.
I like Jamie Foxx. Again, that's another area I thought could have been explored more.
Everything about Electro impressed me. I mean, down to the musical score.
I loved his theme. That was great.
Those were amazing. And the fact,
rather menacing.
I love the way that they did this movie in so many ways. Electro's music.
Electro's music. Great. Loved his music. Yep.
This and the Amazing Spider-Man before it, I feel more so than the previous Spider-Man saga, really captures the attitude of Spider-Man.
Yes, I will absolutely agree on that.
Yes. The music during the major fight between Electro and Spider-Man.
The first one or the finale?
The finale.
Okay.
It's going the music that goes with that is being generated by Jamie Foxx as he's jumping from Electrode to Electrode. Spider-Man comments, I hate this song. I love that.
And the song he was playing was the Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Yep. Yeah. And that's something I like. I definitely agree on that. I think Daniel Garfield is a much better Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire. I think it's when he kind of cements it.
Yes.
He's clearly much more comfortable in the role than he was in the last movie, and it really shows. Same goes for Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy in this one. Big spoiler on her later. We'll get to that because it is something as comic fans we have to talk about.
We do. I'm just gonna say now before we even get to it, I'm really glad. I'm really happy with it.
Yes and no for me. Yeah, I'll explain why later. Again, massive spoiler. If you're a comic book fan, not so much. But otherwise, massive spoiler.
If you're a Spider-Man fan who really hasn't read the comics, turn this off now, go see the movie.
Yes, it's definitely worth seeing, and it's fun and action-packed, and just go see it if you want to remain spoiler-free. You've been warned.
Yeah. So, I would definitely recommend seeing this movie. I think I'd liked it a little less than you did. That being said, I was, like I said, thoroughly entertained with it. I would go see it again. I don't think it's quite like as bad as a lot of people are saying it is. I do share some of their complaints, but I think they're kind of overselling it. But because I think it has like 57% of Rotten Tomato right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's getting panned.
Why would it be that low?
It's a lot of people have same side. I feel like it was way too crammed. But
okay.
But on the flip side of there being a lot in there obviously are things in there for fans, including a little hidden thing with the introduction of a slight peripheral character who.
Which one are we talking about?
Felicia?
Yeah.
Felicia. There's also Alexander Smythe, who is kind of a more obscure Spider-Man character. Do you know who he is, Wes?
The name rings a bell, but I can't place
He is
him.
the inventor of the Spider Slayers.
Oh, alright.
Unfortunately, spoiler alert, he's dead now, so I don't know how they're gonna pull that.
Give it time.
Yeah, and everyone's death is kind of.
I mean, come on.
A footnote.
There's no guarantee that a giant hole in your torso is going to kill you.
At least not in comic book worlds.
Yeah, comic book worlds. That's kind of like a. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a food market. You walk in, you get what you need, you come back out.
Alright, one of my all-time favorite quotes from the Deadpool comics. He died and came back, she died and came back, Jean Grey dies and comes back based on quarterly sales.
That's true! And I don't even read comics!
When was this one?
That was Deadpool, like,
classic?
3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, it's stuck back during the Joe, what's his name? Joe Kelly age?
Yeah, this is during the period where they really loved to run with the fact that Deadpool, part of the reason his mind had snapped was that he was told he was a comic book character.
And they've ran with that joke ever since.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, back to the movie though, because again, there's a lot of ground to cover in this one.
There is.
Basically, Paul Giamatti is the beginning and the end of this movie. Quite literally, actually.
Yeah.
Well, almost literally. There's a scene in the beginning where they have to do Peter Parker's parents, which is another subplot on top of other subplots in the movie. Flashback, which is something that was kind of trying to bookend the theme from the last movie, which is like, what happened to Peter Parker's parents? And we can't make them S.H.I.E.L.D. agents this time. That's owned by Marvel now. So.
Even though Spider-Man's Marvel, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it's.
All right,
I know.
That actually deserves some explanation.
Yeah.
For those of you at home who don't get it, they're like, why the heck have we not seen Nick Fury talk to Spider-Man? What is going on here? They're all in New York. Why is it Robert Downey Jr. buying Spider-Man lunch? The breakdown on this is, Fox purchased the rights from Marvel for a number of superhero characters, including Spider-Man and the X-Men.
Wait, but does Fox own X-Men?
They don't own, they own the rights. Marvel owns the intellectual property. Fox has the movie rights.
I'm trying to think, is it Fox that owns the rights to X-Men, or is it something else? Because I could have sworn it was a different company.
It should be Fox. Now the problem is,
I've heard Fox.
The problem we run into, and the reason why we keep getting some really terrible movies every few years, is in the way those rights are set up. If Fox does not come out with a movie, it's either every 2 or every 3 years, they lose the right to that character.
Yep.
So because of this, we've had a number of times, such as with X-Men Last Stand, where some really nasty movie gets put out, if only so that 20th Century Fox can later come out and make another X-Men movie.
Like First Class.
Which is actually good. We'll talk about X-Men later.
Yeah,
but
so this is why we have two separate Marvel universes going on right now.
Even though, as far as we know, Spider-Man and X-Men are not in the same, don't share the same universe in this case.
Well, we're yet to have a crossover. The big three are X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. All of these, the rights to them are owned by 20th Century Fox. So you're never going to see any of these three linked to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or any of the Marvel movie universe.
Unfortunately.
Or at least until such a time as those rights pass back over or are bought back for a ridiculous amount of money.
Yes.
That being said, if there's one thing Disney has, it's a ridiculous amount of money. So.
There you go, Disney. There's a new tagline. Welcome to Walt Disney World. We have a ridiculous amount of money. So, let's actually... Okay, so about the movie itself, and then we got the whole rights thing out of the way. I mean, the movie starts out with... Mr. and Mr. Parker, Mr. and Mrs. Parker, after realizing that, oh shit, they're
Richard and Mary Parker.
Thank you. Who are not S.H.I.E.L.D. agents in this universe. They are scientists like they were in the Ultimate Universe.
For Oscorp.
Yep. In fact, I kind of started picking and choosing what universes they're stealing, not stealing, borrowing from.
Exactly. They're picking up stuff all over the place. I gotta say, this is one of the few things that bothered me in this movie. They make a really big deal about Richard Parker as a scientist for Oscorp. They make no reference to Mary Parker as a scientist for Oscorp. And yet, she's totally with the runaway plan. She knows about all the files. I mean, like, she's clearly as informed as Richard Parker, but has not played as much of a character.
No.
You kind of have to question if it's because female character.
That would be my guess, because Hollywood, with very few exceptions, does not know how to write female characters.
I don't know, you're talking about Wonder Woman and Batman vs Superman. It's gonna be amazing.
We don't know that yet.
I've been a huge fan of every Wonder Woman movie ever made. Oh.
Yeah. That's one property that has been on the shelf.
That was good.
That was very
forever.
Good. Yeah.
All right, but anyways, back to Spider-Man.
So basically, bad things go down. Parents go bye-bye. Aw, Batman origin story, basically. And fast forward years later, we have Paul Giamatti chewing as much scenery as he can grab in the space of a minute. Because he's admitted to it in interviews, like, yeah, I'm hamming this up for all it's worth. Like, I am not taking this seriously at all.
Okay, I didn't recognize him. Which one was he?
He was the bald guy, a bit later becomes the Rhino.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Paul Giamatti. Because he's, again, clearly just not taking it seriously.
No, not at all.
Because let's face it, as pretty much every Spider-Man universe ever made has had a very different interpretation of the Rhino.
It's true. They all take very different approaches to it. This approach I have some issues with.
Yes, I know you're a big Rhino fan.
Only because I'm a huge Rhino fan. I love the classic storyline behind him. I love the classic character. Making him someone who kills people is really kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I heard the part where he says, like, so are you a thief? I'm a killer, and I can almost feel like a part of your soul die.
Exactly.
Next to me.
I'm sitting there going, I just, no. Damn.
Yeah, it's like, Rose, that's a really good story. He's a very underrated character where he's always kind of plays the buffoon in, like, all the video games and TV shows and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. But, you know, it is what it is. It's not too much of a surprise, unfortunately. But, you know, you have your big fight scene. Paul Giamatti goes down in a ridiculously goofy way.
Well, we don't actually see him go down, per se.
Well, we kind of do.
Well...
Like, go down, I mean, not literally go down, but, you know, he gets bonked on the head with a gun and he gets passed out and all that stuff. We get really cool CGI shots and stuff like that. Exactly. That's what they know. It's like, we saw this in 3D. This is a movie that's actually kind of worth seeing in 3D.
Yes, and ordinarily I wouldn't want to pay for 3D, but with the effects, especially with Electro, it is
with Electro and the web slinging and all that stuff. I thought it was pretty cool.
It is worthwhile in 3D.
Exactly. I'm not a huge fan of 3D.
Nor am I.
But
Same here.
I've come to realize something about it.
What?
The addition of layers helps to perceive action as it happens. Now, I came to realize this with the latest Captain America movie. because I first went and saw it in IMAX 3D and everything, because, you know, it's Captain America. You have to.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. A couple days later, I took my parents to go see this film. My father, you know, taught me to read using comic books, so I try to take him with me to see any comic book movie that comes out.
Nice.
Now, it was a pain to watch in 2D.
I did fine.
Yeah, my mother gets vertigo, so we went in 2D and we went and saw it and all. The action in a lot of the fight scenes is so fast, it becomes jarring to try and follow any of the exact actions of what's happening. It's like, you know, Dragon Ball Z all over again, where it's like, whoosh, 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 and he's on the floor. Whoosh, 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 and he's through a window.
I followed it fine. I don't know.
I did too.
For me, the added layers make it much easier to follow.
Fair enough.
Well, there's your argument for 3D.
Can't wait till How to Train Your Dragon 2.
That being said, I'm really kind of sad that the movie theaters feel the need to charge like $6 more.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's pretty much an overkill.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So meanwhile, during this chase scene, Spider-Man saves our main villain of the day, Jamie Foxx, who plays Max Dillon, who is also known as Electro. Again, another character that had very different interpretations over the years.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably the most different one I would say I've seen of the bunch.
I have never seen this origin in the comics. That being said, I found it really entertaining.
Well, so here's the thing. I'm sorry.
Did they make this interpretation up, or
pretty much, because like in the original comic books, all Max Dillon was like old school classics, like Stan Lee era comic books. All Max Dillon was an engineer got literally hit with an electric pole, and all of a sudden has electric powers. That was it. That was how he got. That was his big origin story. He was kind of he's always kind of been like a thug for hire in the comic books. Through most interpretation, that theme has remained true. This is the first case where they've given us some serious kind of mental disorders.
Yeah, a little schizophrenia.
Schizophrenic, real identity disorders, kind of things like wants to be seen, feels invisible. That's the first time I've ever seen that interpretation taken. That being said, the surprising source for the origin of this movie comes not from the comic books or any previous real video games or any interpretation. Where it comes from is the TV show The Spectacular Spider-Man, which, if people didn't watch the show, is also known as the greatest Spider-Man cartoon ever made. And it went through a criminally underrated only 2 fucking seasons, and it still makes me mad to talk about it.
Clearly.
Because of the fucking Sony rights. Sony, that's who owns Spider-Man. Fox owns X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Okay.
That's why I've never crossed paths.
Contracts are similar, where they have to make a movie every so often, or else they lose the rights.
Yes. Either way, but part of that is Marvel bought back the rights to the Spider-Man TV shows, and Spectacular Spider-Man, as a result, got the axe right after one of the best Spider-Man cartoon finales I've ever seen in my life. I have the DVD. I'll loan it to you.
It's okay. I remember it.
If you're sure you can part with it for that long.
They just really released on Blu-ray. I was so excited.
He's just gonna put a GPS tracker on each disc.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, but that's where this Electro origin came from, because they pretty much follow the same beats, where he gets electrocuted one way and falls into like a vat of electric eels, which I'm not sure why in biological engineering you think, eels, what a wonderful source of power. But you know, I'll go along with it.
It's all natural. It's green. That being said,
PETA would throw
one of the things here I really liked about this. It showed the eels biting.
Yes.
Yep, that's true.
This concept that
really
electric
freaky.
eels are just swimming tasers is ridiculous. So I'm really glad to show eels are kind of jerks. And so I'm glad that the movie finally played that eels are jerks.
There you go. So. There's an unspoken criteria we've never heard before. My one problem with the Jamie Foxx one, the Electro storyline, is the fact that I kind of wish we got more an idea of what his life was like before he kind of became Electro, because it's kind of rushed.
I'm going to be a horrible person on this here, but you got a really good look at his life. In the build-up beforehand, he's speaking to himself, he's, ignored by others.
But at the same
and nobody celebrates his birthday with him.
No one acknowledges his birthday but himself.
He's isolated. He has difficulty socializing.
But the movie clearly wants us to sympathize with him, and I feel like there wasn't enough there to really feel any kind of sympathy for him.
It's true. They didn't build the sympathy. They really kind of played on mental illness, which is not okay.
Yeah.
you know.
Especially for people who actually do have mental illnesses like that.
Yeah. With the interaction between him and Spider-Man, you notice that while Spider-Man does have his, you know, I'm freaking out, so I'm going to make snide, smart-ass remarks, he doesn't insult. Like, he doesn't challenge Electrode, and he never, ever makes a comment that I remember. I could be wrong on this. But I don't remember him making any comment about Max's sanity.
No, never did.
Oh, he was very smart. He kept, he used neutral statements.
I think that's really, that should be applauded.
Yes.
You know, for the writers and everything who made a point to, while they were in a way playing on that mental illness, they still acknowledged it, and they pointed out that I mean, Harry Osborn uses Max.
Yes.
He's definitely not a villain in his own regard.
Yeah, I'd agree on that. I guess, especially towards after the first confrontation, I guess I didn't quite see why he would all of a sudden really just hate Spider-Man. I felt like that could have used a little more digging into.
Oh, because he felt.
Well, I get what they were going for.
Neglected.
I felt like it wasn't done.
They made it happen fast.
Exactly. Like they would. It's like kind of like another villain. I don't know, same TV show, Spectacular Spider-Man. It's like kind of like they did with the Venom character. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Where
exactly.
It's like, I understand where they're going with it, but I don't feel like they developed it enough.
They didn't have time to get it there.
Exactly. So I felt like, because you had the Harry Osborn storyline, you had the Oscorp storyline, you had the fucking Rhino story. Okay, that wouldn't really count.
It was just kind of tagged on.
Exactly.
You have the Parent storyline. You have all these other sublines that plug in there. If you just focus solely on Electro, you could have easily expanded that out.
Yes.
Oh, totally. Now, there are some aspects of it I did like, though, because it felt like what Spider-Man has always been to me when reading the stories. And that Spider-Man is almost never given a chance to breathe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the fact that there he is, Electrode has just been defeated, and in comes Harry Osborn as
the Green Goblin.
Exactly.
Yeah, but at the same time, I liked where that went at the very end.
Yeah.
Again, spoiler alert. But at the same time, I wish that because I loved this guy as Harry Osborn. I thought
great.
I thought he was perfect.
We could have run with him as Harry Osborn the whole movie and left the Goblin for the next movie.
Yeah, that's kind of why.
Had time. Yeah, sure.
That's kind of what I felt about it too, because fuck James Franco. This is what I interpreted for Harry Osborn.
Yes.
And I'm surprised Norman Osborn got the axe this early on in the franchise.
Right?
Like, I'm not convinced he's dead, to be frank.
No.
Well, we don't see
Spoiler
him
alert, by the way.
die.
Okay. Actually, so I'm going to throw this out there right now. I'm just going to call it. All right. So after Norman Osborn dies, they show them, this like hazmat team removing the linens off the bed where he was laying, and there's some sort of green laser scanning him.
Yeah.
I would not at all be surprised if later on we get hit with either A, he's not dead, or B, we have some kind of digital replication of Norman Osborn's mind.
So we're going with the Baron Zemo route? Not Baron Zemo, Zoloff.
Yes. yeah, we're gonna go that route. We're gonna wind up with like a cyber goblin or whatever.
Or demi-goblin. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
where does we get that reference? Very, very obscure reference.
The only goblins I know in the Spider-Man verse are Green Goblin and Hobgoblin.
Yeah, there's a lot of goblins.
Yes.
Too many.
Yeah, but anyway.
Kind of like symbiotes.
That's a topic for another day.
Or clones.
The Clone Saga. Anyway, back to where did I leave off? I was talking about Harry Osborn, but I was actually surprised when when the casting choice was announced for this guy as Harry Osborn. People were kind of complaining because everyone knows who this guy basically got his big break in Chronicles, which is John Trask movies, also directed the Fantastic Four movie, and it's kind of plays a very similar character. So I was kind of like, I don't know if he can pull it off. I don't know if he can pull off Harry Osborn. Like, yeah, a guy with daddy issues who eventually goes insane, tries to kill his best friend. Yeah. Yep. I don't know how he's gonna pull that off.
Gosh, that's a really specific role to wind up typecasting.
I know.
He sure is lucky there was a second part to be played.
But I was like, yeah, no, but no, he pulls it off wonderfully because he can tell he has a charm to him, but at the same time, he's also very, very creepy.
Yes.
And he's always like, there's always just something right underneath the surface that can just snap at any moment. And that's Harry Osborn.
Yeah, basically, he's on the surface charming, but just a hint of eerie that makes you think, okay, I don't want to talk to this guy too long. Bye.
I mean, granted, it differs depending on your interpretation. Some play it's the innocent, sweet Harry Osborn that just became a victim of drug addiction and then eventually became the Goblin. But I prefer this. I thought this one looked much better for just that Osborn family in general, and just totally fucked up beyond all measure.
Yeah, so, basically.
I guess, yeah. In the end, I feel like this movie was fantastic, but rushed. You're right about the pacing.
It was rushed,
that's the big issue for me, is the pace. I feel like any of these elements on their own would have been amazingly done.
So here's the better question. Should they have broken it up into multiple movies, or given us a 4-hour epic?
I would say multiple movies, since they need to make a movie every few years anyway.
And this movie's already 2.5 hours.
Yes.
I say you could have given an extra half hour.
Yeah, no, I can see giving an extra half hour. I could also see if you'd gone, friggin' Lord of the Rings route. Film them all at one time. But, unlike Lord of the Rings, let's release them every 6 months.
There you go.
This once-a-year release pattern's driving me crazy.
Well, it depends on where we're going with it. It's got tons of more casting choices to make at this point.
Yeah, I know, but geez, how long does it take a friggin' dragon to fly to a river town?
That's why I skipped the second one.
The second one's pretty good. Hey, that's a topic for another. You didn't see it. You can't even make that argument now. You didn't even watch it. Anyway.
Well, after the fact, years later on DVD, and an ex wanted me to see it, so I watched it with him, but I made him fast forward through the expository scenes.
That makes up most of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
So the whole thing in half an hour.
I know.
I made him fast forward through the talking trees.
How do you fast forward through the ends?
Easily.
They speak at normal speed then.
Very funny, Jackass. Anyway, back to the movie at hand. Debate Lord of the Rings later.
Alright, so.
I'm more of a Narnia girl anyway.
Okay, anyway.
Alright, so where are we at talking about the movie?
We just talked about, let's talk about the Times Square scene.
Ooh, alright, so this is a real example of them dealing with the mental illness of Max Dillon and Spider-Man, kind of reconnecting. Max Dillon's first step towards treating Spider-Man as an enemy is when Spider-Man doesn't recognize him.
Yes.
Now, admittedly, there are 10 million people in New York City.
The fact that he remembers him at all is actually pretty impressive.
The fact that he remembers him when he starts talking about him is amazing. On the other hand, the fact that he doesn't recognize the glowing blue guy is also understandable.
He even comments, "You look different."
Yep.
Exactly, yeah. He points out.
The quips were good, by the way.
The quips were great.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's kind of given, if one of my closest friends went away for a couple of years, went and traveled the country and maybe sent me an email or two, but really didn't have contact with me, and comes back with a full body tattoo, I have no guarantee I'm gonna recognize that guy.
Yeah.
Much less, he's glowing and hurling lightning.
Well, like, it's kind of.
I might try to recognize him on principle at that point, but that's more because I want to be friends with people with power. That's like a triple joke within joke within.
Inception. A joke within a joke within a joke. Anyway.
Exactly.
But this is kind of what bothering me about the whole all of a sudden I hate Spider-Man routine. Is the fact that the only real reason I can see for him hating Spider-Man is A, he didn't remember what his name was, and B, that he took up like all the screens in Times Square away from Max.
Well, that
he stole attention.
Was basically
stole attention, which I understand. Again, where they were going with it, I just didn't necessarily buy it.
Well, I did, because for the first time in, at least as far as we see in his adult life, Max got attention and people quote unquote saw him.
And he noticed he was getting that attention.
Yes. Again, I understand where they were going. I just don't think it was developed well enough to make it matter as much as they wanted it to.
a basic human needs, the need to see and be seen.
Again, I get where they were going with it. I just don't think it was developed enough.
Well, that just goes back to the pacing issue we talked about earlier.
Fair, yep, that's all I'm saying is they could have done more with it. It's like, for a scene like that that's trying to go for impact, you need to develop that more. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I know exactly where they were going with it. It's not a hard thing to figure out.
The real problem in this scene is the sniper who doesn't listen to what Spider-Man says.
Yeah.
Nobody shoot. Sniper boy. All right, given he was given orders that if Electro made a move, that he was on fire
to take the shot.
Yeah.
When Spider-Man tells you to do something,
you listen.
Kids at home, I want you to realize this. When Spider-Man tells you to do something, run to your parents. That's not really Spider-Man. That's just Michael trying to get you to buy him a Slurpee.
Curses! My
you all thought that was gonna be a real PSA.
My plot has been ruined, and I must dress as Batman and try to do the same thing.
I thought you were more of an ice cream than a Slurpee guy. Anyway.
I can occasionally enjoy a Slurpee, especially dressed as Spider-Man.
You dress as Batman, you gotta go for like the halls. I need a lozenge.
Were we talking about a movie? Anyway, so after all this happens, Electro gets captured, obviously, and the big. Actually, come to think of it, I'm gonna go. It's still related to Spider-Man. I actually went to the comic book panel, a Comic Con panel for Spider-Man 2 last year, and during the panel, like someone brought up was like, yeah, we thought like one of the directors, I think it was Mark Webb, was going off like, yeah, Electro's a great villain. It's always like great questions like, how do you beat someone who's made totally of electricity? And some guy in the front just yells out, water!
Yeah.
As loud as he can. And the entire stadium of 6,000 people just start laughing hysterically.
That's what I thought.
But I guess the people on stage couldn't hear him.
Awesome.
So they were just like, what the hell is everyone laughing at? And of course, 6,000 people try to explain it at once.
Did they all shout water in unison?
No, they were just all going, he said water, but they all sound like in different ways, so it just sounded like a giant jumbled mess. It was like most confusing moments. All the people on stage looked totally lost.
Wow.
Daniel Garfield's like, did something funny just happen? Daniel Garfield got, by the way, one of the best human beings I've ever seen live.
All right.
Awesome.
Like, so, just real quick, like, someone brought was like, so how do you feel like kicking Tobey Maguire's ass? This is like, Tobey Maguire owned the role he was given. You shut up, was basically what he said.
Nice.
Nicer than I said, but still same context. Anyway, back to the movie. So, yes. Yeah. Norman Osborn dies. I'm still not convinced. I think we're just gonna get the ultimate Green Goblin in the next movie, is what I'm thinking is gonna happen.
I'm down with that. Ultimate Green Goblin was a seriously, honestly, kind of scary villain.
And again, spoiler, towards the end, we do see the octopus.
Like Dr. Octopus claws and the vulture wings.
Yeah.
And all kinds of other stuff. But so Harry Osborn takes control of Oscorp, and he starts getting really fucking creepy. Meanwhile, Harry and Peter are only given a few short scenes together, but they're pulled off very, very well. You buy their relationship.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
What it's like, the strongest part of this movie is the scenes where it shows like a relationship between individual characters.
Oh yeah.
Like the Gwen and Peter scenes were great. The Aunt May and Peter scenes were great.
Good.
I really liked Emma Stone in this role.
Yep. Who doesn't love Emma Stone? Come on.
Well, I know you do.
Anyway,
You apologize.
I don't do no such thing. Sorry, Emma.
Watch, this is gonna wind up being my job in Hollywood. I'm gonna go around to random people, show up at people's doors. Yes? You apologize. You know what you said.
I gotta make a phone call. Yeah, cross the name off the list, Billy Madison. Anyway. I only get that joke because Patrick told me that scene last night. Anyway, so basically that stuff happens. You get the exposition going into the Green Goblin. Turns out Harry Osborn's dying because of a rare disease that Norman Osborn had, which killed him.
When he was like 60 and is onsetting way faster.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, like when he's not wearing a scarf, you see a green rash on his neck.
It's kind of implied that Norman Osborn did a lot to keep himself alive, though.
Yes.
But he's like, son, I mean to tell you now, this is genetic. As your hand started to shake, it's like, oh god, my hand's shaking! And suddenly, I've got this thing on my neck!
Yeah.
Why did anyone tell me about this disease? I could have been fine if no one told me!
Placebo effect!
Not to mention, it's actually probably true, now I think about
the
it.
political placebo, the disease you can't die from when you won't admit it exists.
Anyway, but it turns out his Harry Osborn's theory is that he needs Spider-Man's blood. Like, honest to God, I thought Harry Osborn's story was the most compelling of the bunch. I thought, like, he had, like...
I liked Gwen's, though, too.
Gwen's story was good, too. I mean, of course, you do the whole relationship stuff, whereas, of course, Mark Webb, being the director of 500 Days of Summer, is pretty much his home turf. So, even though some scenes are kind of creepy unintentionally.
Yeah, there's definitely some creeper stuff going on here.
Damn.
But they really... They address one thing I was afraid they were going to skip, or that they were going to take the other way. And so, Gwen is admitted to Oxford University.
Yes, that was in the comics.
And towards the very end, Peter tells her that he will follow her to England. Like, even this is the one guaranteed way for the entire world to figure out who Spider-Man is. Because all they have to do is look at who's gone from New York to London. Or England, or wherever Oxford is. That being said, Peter does not try to get her to stop going. He admits he loves her, and he does not try to get her to compromise on her goals and aspirations.
Which is very admirable and what a good man in that situation should do.
But to me, I totally agree with what you're saying, but to me it was also the giant red flag of what was going to happen in the very next scene.
Alright, for those of us who know about Gwen Stacy and the story of Gwen Stacy, we're all looking at this going, an admission of love between the two of them on top of a New York bridge. Oh my god, this can only go one way.
And it did.
That way is down.
Yeah. I
feel bad for that joke.
It had to happen. It's like in the last Batman movie where you had to have Bane break Batman's back.
Exactly.
It's one scene in the comic books that's basically hailed as the end of the Golden Age.
Yeah.
It's the part where... I'm gonna get to it later. I've really hyped it up now.
Well, I think we can hit it now.
Okay, hit it now. Basically a scene where Green Goblin finally shows up. Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy are trapped by Green Goblin, who has figured out very quickly who Spider-Man is, and of course it makes perfect sense why he would figure it out.
Oh, totally, making that connection that fast, they didn't rush that at all.
No, that made perfect sense. He's like he sees, like, right after they defeat Electro in the final fight, great fight, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Harry Osborn shows up, fully decked out Green Goblin, because he thinks like the spider venom is gonna save him. That's why he needs Spider-Man's blood, but he just finds the venom instead and injects himself with it. Well, I found out, it's not designed for me, basically.
Exactly. So it's killing him. And earlier we'd gotten this look at this armor that is the Goblin armor. It's designed for military and has active combat healing. Yep. So it's designed to put the body back together as he gets injured. He puts it on to save himself,
and then goes off to fight Spider-Man, but sees Gwen there too, and quickly puts two and two together, knowing that Gwen and Peter were a thing. He goes,
exactly.
You motherfucker! You could have saved me, and you said no. I hate you. Again, that's what I'm talking about, though, in terms of motivation. That makes perfect sense of why Harry would hate Peter at that point.
Yes and no. Being very angry, sure. Killing him!
Well, at that point, he's also kind of lost his mind because of the serine pain. Granted, again, it kind of goes in the Electro route. You could have explored it more, but I felt it sunk in a bit more than the Electro motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like what they did with the Lizard in the last movies. Like, the motivation, the idea was there, and it wasn't fleshed out enough. Exactly. That's kind of been the problem with the Spider-Man villains so far in these movies. But,
they look cool, though.
They do look cool.
Oh, yeah.
I was a little worried about Green Goblin when he first started to talk. Because he had the prosthetic teeth, so he's kind of doing the lisping. He kind of did when you're wearing fake teeth. So, It sounded kind of disgusting. It sounded kind of silly, but no. Then he stops talking, just making like really like angry, high-pitched grunts, and it scared the piss out of me.
Right? Yeah, no, really well portrayed. But we get to this grand moment of the death of Gwen Stacy.
The death of Gwen Stacy. Not on a bridge, which I was kind of disappointed. But kind of
they changed the location, but
it made sense why though. They didn't.
Yeah, they made it work. They also technically changed how she died. There's still a fall. She's still caught by the webbing, but it shows her impact the ground at the last one. It's that shock that does it. Which is, in my opinion, great, because what you could do in the comics, and you couldn't get away with not doing in the movie, is in the comics, she's thrown from the Queensboro Bridge. Spider-Man jumps off, fires one line of web to attach to the bridge.
He doesn't even jump off. He just stays on the bridge.
That's right. He just fires the webbing to catch her. But she's falling at such a speed when the line catches her that it snaps her spine and kills her. You could not do the sound effect for a snapped spine in this movie and have your audience walk away saying that was a great movie. Whereas the slam on the ground, while disturbing, it's not as terrifying.
You did hear the snap though. They did keep that sound effect in there.
Did they?
Yeah.
Because all I heard was the on the ground.
Nope, there was a snap.
Okay.
Yeah, so they kept that in there.
So,
but no,
I was impressed that they,
I'm surprised
they held to it.
I'm surprised they had the balls to do it. I thought for sure they were going to save it for the third movie. But as soon
I was kind of hoping they would.
But it's like, as soon as they said, I'm going to go to England with you, it was like, oh, she just stamped her death ticket.
Yeah, she's gone this movie. It's going to happen.
Yeah, so I think I was like, oh boy. Because I knew what was coming. I was kind of hoping I was wrong. But I thought like the whole web forming a hand thing was a little cheesy.
The web actually forming into a hand was ridiculous. I laughed.
I chuckled a little too.
That being said, it was great. Her helping Peter figure out, because early in the first fight with Electro fries one of Peter's web shooters. She figures out to magnetize them to repel the electric charge in order to keep them from
getting fried again.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah. He brilliant use of story and whatnot, but also giving having the female lead come up with this.
Yes.
And Stacy's not a stupid person.
Yes.
She's never been a stupid character.
She was valedictorian in one of the opening scenes.
She's not Mary Jane from the first three movies, where she just get captured and scream.
Thank God.
I'm really happy that they portrayed at least something of a strong female role.
Yes, I
For the
completely
struggles
agree.
they had with Peter's mother, they did at least some good with May going to nursing school and whatnot, and trying to support Peter.
Yes.
As well as Gwen being very intelligent and trying to come up with solutions and acting of her own will.
Yes, and I'm really going to miss that character in these films. And
we're gonna probably get Mary Jane next.
Yippee!
Maybe.
I'm kind
Well,
of
actually, Mary Jane was in this movie, but she got cut.
Really?
Yeah, she got cast. They filmed scenes and everything, but they cut her. They got cut her because they were there. Oddly enough, putting too much in there.
I'm kind of.
They introduced Felicia. We could go another movie without Mary Jane.
I'm
just saying.
Which I would be happy to, because I'm kind of burnt out on Mary Jane for a lot of the reasons that you touched on.
To be fair, we did have Green Goblin before, but we still like him here.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of these characters before in the other Spider-Man movies, but they're done differently enough that makes it interesting. Now, the Mary Jane in this movie was originally cast, oddly enough, by an actress in one of my favorite movies of all time, The Descendants. She was recently in the movie Divergent, was when you know her from.
Okay.
The main lead in that one.
I didn't actually see Divergent, but okay.
Neither did we. Don't let the movie. Don't let that movie disturb you though, because she's actually a very, very talented actress.
Okay.
And she was originally going to play Mary Jane Watson in this movie, but I guess they cut her scenes at the last minute.
Be interesting to see if they keep her as Mary Jane Watson.
That's
technically, since they haven't used her, they don't have to.
This is true.
Well, it's like that's what kind of disappoints me about that though. Is I kind of wish they at least introduced her a little bit in this movie, because then we can't get that one scene, that famous scene that was also in the comic books, where like it's right after Gwen dies. Wes, you should know this scene. Is a scene where again, it kind of establishes Mary Jane as beyond kind of the ditzy girl she was originally portrayed in the comic books.
Yes.
Where it's like Peter Parker's there, he's grieving, he's like, Mary Jane's trying to comfort him, she's like, no, he's basically, no, get out, I don't want you here. And she has the option to leave, and she thinks about it. But then she just stops what doing, just slams the door, and stays there. You know what scene I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's a classic scene.
Oh yeah.
And we can't do it now.
That's okay.
It makes me sad though, because I've always wanted to see that realized. But
Next time I'm in the same room as you and a redhead, I'll ask her to slam the door for you.
Sure.
Not like that, you pervert.
You can't expect me not to go down that road.
I can't set you up with anyone since Vampire Academy.
Fuck off. Sorry.
There we go.
I think your ex was a bit of a redhead.
Well, it was dyed.
Okay.
It was kind of a cheat, but I was okay with it at the time. And that's a whole nother can of worms. I really hope she's not watching this right now.
It's alright, every woman in my family is a redhead, not one of them naturally.
Not you, apparently?
As I said, not one of them is naturally a redhead.
Well, you don't have any red-haired, period.
That's because it's not genetic. They all dye it, you idiot. I don't dye mine.
Well, you left that part out. You left out the "except me" part.
Every woman.
Oh, every woman.
All right, listen, I appreciate that even though I have a mustache, you still would make the assumption, Michael, I'm not into you, I'm sorry.
I heard every one, not every woman.
No. Every woman
there
in my
you go.
family is a redhead.
That clears up that little confusion. We have fun here.
We do, yes.
But, moving on. I do want to talk about one scene in particular, though, because I thought was very, very effective, was the part where Peter Parker and Aunt May have their own little kind of confrontation in the middle of the movie.
It's very genuine.
Yes.
It's a part where
Peter has created a wall
of information about his parents and pretty much everything in general.
Yeah. Trying to connect the dots.
And Aunt May finds it and goes, hey, we need to talk, because this is kind of creepy. And they do, and she has this very great speech about how, like, she's pissed out of his parents because they left him behind, and they think it's because scumbag reasons. All turns out it's not really the case. And stuff like that. It's, again, because the woman who plays her is a very, very talented actress.
Sally Field.
Sally Field. It's nice actually to see her flex her little acting muscles a bit here.
Yes.
She does a great job with that scene.
She does.
And she alludes near the end to knowing he's Spider-Man.
This is the second time they've done it. They did it a little bit in the first movie, too, where they kind of know that something's up.
You know, she knows. The way she talks about, man, it's a shame Spider-Man's gone.
Yeah,
It
wink.
seems like the city could really use him.
Because at the end of the movie, it's like Peter Parker stops being Spider-Man after Gwen dies.
And basically mourns her for 5 months.
Yep. Was it 5 months?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They say he's been gone for 5 months.
Okay.
They show autumn and winter.
Yes.
But the fact is, autumn's pretty short. We don't know that because here in San Jose, we don't have autumn. We don't have winter. We have a perpetual state of outside.
Although it has been warmer lately by my wimpy standards.
It's been
It's been very warm this week.
Yes.
it's been crazy.
It'll be back down to the 70s.
Oh, thank God.
By the weekend.
Yay.
Or at least it should be down to the 70s by the weekend.
Wait,
which
by
is
tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, because I gotta do work.
It's supposed to be in the 70s
Seriously.
tomorrow. It's supposed to be in the high 60s at some point next week.
Yay!
Our weather does not care. Tell you what, I will take turns and you can tell me which one's harder. You predict the weather in San Jose. I'll predict the emotions of a preteen.
That's the funniest thing you've ever fucking said.
You're gonna say sunny and you'll be right most of the time. I'm gonna run screaming from the room and I'm gonna be right most of the time.
I'm not gonna top that. We should probably just move
Thanks
on
for
to
checking out the review, guys.
We should probably just move on to trailers.
Well, did we sum up the
Is
whole
there any-
plot? We kind of bounced around.
It's
a bit.
okay.
Okay, come to the very end. Harry's in a cell.
Oh yeah,
He's
we got
approached
to
by a
talk
guy.
about 6.
They say to go forward with the project here. He says keep it small. And they bring back the guy from the beginning. What was his name again?
You should know him. You're the Rhino fan.
No, not the character's name, the actor's name.
Oh, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti comes back as the Rhino, shooting at cops and whatnot. We don't actually see him hit any cops, which is legit to the Rhino.
Yep, so maybe
he's
they
not
kept...
opposed to using weapons in the comics. He just never hits anybody. Not that he's a bad shot, but he purposefully doesn't want to kill anyone.
So maybe they kept truer than you thought.
So yeah, who knows? Maybe that's why he couldn't shoot Spider-Man.
That's true, he doesn't. Well, he fires missiles.
He sure tries. Yeah. In other news, dear God, city municipal sewer lids.
Yeah, he knows, fucking bouncing missiles off.
Exactly.
Seriously.
But
I wonder how much money goes into our U.S. defense budget that could be saved with sewer lids.
And that's the closing shot of the movie is Spider-Man jumping and swinging a sewer lid in the direction of the Rhino, and then it cuts to credits.
Yep, but speaking of which, I got some very bad deja vu with some of the scenes with the kid.
Oh?
Because, you know my job, I work as a children's entertainer, so the scene where the kid gets bullied and the guy goes, "What is that? Is that a wind turbine? You make that yourself?" It's like, oh fuck, I've had those conversations with 5-year-old kids. Almost verbatim.
I like the scene, I like the character.
No, it's really sweet. But
It is sweet. Cute kid.
Yeah, kid's character's named Jorge, which alludes that he might be a, so some Hispanic kid. I'm not gonna say Mexican per se. He could be Puerto Rican. He could be something else. He looked pretty dang white.
He did.
Yeah.
His mom looked more Latin than he did, though.
You want to really piss people off? Name him Miles. That would have set people up.
Name him Miles.
Miles, that's his name.
And yeah, make him Puerto Rican, African,
and watch the internet explode.
Yeah, exactly. It just rage.
They actually like. That's a funny thing is Andrew Garfield has expressed like, yeah, I would love it if they put Miles in the movies. The producers had just flat out said no.
Well, it's because the moment you introduce Miles, even if you introduce him as a 4-year-old, you're admitting to the future that you're going to go with the other. Well, it's what the Ultimate Universe did with Spider-Man that put it on the map.
Not necessarily. There's a 616 version of Miles, I think.
Is there really?
I think so. I think you have to Google it. I'm pretty sure he exists.
Okay.
They're talking about a character that I don't
okay,
remember.
let me elaborate. In the Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker dies and is replaced by a what was it? It
was a kid, Miles Morales.
Miles Morales, who is a African American.
His father is African American. His mother is Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, that was it. And he becomes a new Spider-Man.
Exactly, he becomes Spider-Man at like the age of 10. So
and then grows into it. They've actually done very large time jumps with that particular series. I still got to catch up on a lot of it, but I know it's
okay.
It was one of those characters that everyone's really skeptical about, but it's built a very strong fan base now.
I kind of like how they do their time jumps though, because they will have a single, they'll have a single storyline that covers 3 days, take 5 issues, and after that they'll jump 5 months forward.
Yeah. And of course you got. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, and then you can have Donald Glover play Spider-Man and make everyone happy. That's never gonna happen. But anyway,
with our luck, it would be Will Smith's son.
I'm sorry.
You just ruined that for me, man.
I liked him. In The Pursuit of Happiness, but he hasn't done a good job acting since then.
Yeah, because he wasn't acting. He was just like, my dad dragged me here. I don't want to be here. Okay, so I think we've talked about the movie enough. We should probably move on to trailers then. Right. This was going to be me, Wes. Although if you've seen any of these trailers, feel free to jump in, Sarah, because you literally got in just as the trailers ended.
Yes, my bus rent was 20 minutes late.
Fire it.
So the first one we got was they play the toned down version of this trailer. I've seen the original one. It looks like shit, which is Earth to Echo, which is like E.T. if it was directed by Michael Bay.
That sounds
it does kind of look like an E.T. remake.
Because it has terrible child actors, some weird CGI owl thing, and some stuff that looked like it came from Transformers.
Yep. Of the previews we saw, this is probably the last one I want to see of them. That being said, I'm not opposed to seeing it.
You're not supposed to see anything. You saw Legend of Hercules.
It's true.
Which just came out on DVD, by the way. And
I'm
that
really
for your birthday.
impressed. We had a character in this movie composed entirely of electricity.
And we have yet...
Not one of you made a lightning penis sword joke.
How did I not make that joke?
I completely missed that.
So much missed opportunity. To be fair, since he's firing out rays everywhere, who says he doesn't have an electric penis sword?
Well, yes, but you feel that being said, I think the reason why is because he did such a great performance, we didn't feel the need to sully it.
Because he performed so well.
Yes.
Maybe that's all he was doing. Lightning penis sword!
That's how he punched a hole in Smythe.
He was 100%.
And so the fanfic was written. So shall come to pass.
They never did explain where he got that suit, did they? Anyway,
No, they didn't.
He just came out of fucking nowhere after Harry Osborn. Oh, we forgot to mention that too. Is Harry Osborn loses control of Oscorp to Mencken, who's given a lot more balls in this one than he is in the comic books.
It's true. All right, anyways, back to previews.
Anyway, yeah, and all of a sudden, Electro pops up with a leather suit with a little lightning bolt on the side. Never explains why. Anyway, so Earth to Echo. Next one we got was A Million Ways to Die in the West.
I can't wait for this movie.
I'm not a big Seth MacFarlane fan, so I'm iffy. But I will say this: before I came here, I was watching a YouTube video, and an ad for that came up. And even so, it was so Liam Neeson staring at you, going, "Don't skip this video. I'm not gonna ask you again." And I was so terrified, I almost didn't skip it.
I'm not. I have a huge amount of respect for Seth MacFarlane as a talented voice actor.
Not so much as a writer.
But I'm not a huge fan of his live action work. That being said, I love Liam Neeson. I love Neil Patrick Harris. And the greatest part about this preview, I love Christopher Lloyd.
Oh my god! You would love this. There's a Back to the Future reference in this movie.
Seth MacFarlane ducks into a barn, and there is Christopher Lloyd with the DeLorean, covering it with a tarp. And Seth MacFarlane's like, what is that?
And he goes, weather experiments. It's like, that was glorious. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So next one we got
I'm going to see this.
Okay, I forgot about that. Now I have to go see it. I don't know. Next one we got was 22 Jump Street. We've talked about it a bit before, but
the numbers theory.
Exactly. Movies with numbers in the title it's risky. I have not seen 21 Jump Street.
This one, the trailer basically admits that they're doing the same thing over again, quite literally.
It's true.
Then what's the point? Just watch the original or watch the television series.
They pretty much make that joke too.
So here's what I'm gonna wait to do. I'm gonna wait for 22 Jump Street to come out on DVD. Then I'm gonna get 2 DVD players and 2 televisions. And I'm gonna watch 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street at the same time and wait for the audio to sync up.
There you go. And next, I still can't believe this movie even exists. Annie. They're remaking Annie.
I'm excited
about that.
I'm really excited for this.
What are you not excited for, Wes?
Vampire Academy.
Fuck you.
Haunted House 2.
Okay, yeah, that one's legitimate.
Annie,
yeah.
There are movies I'm not hugely into. Alright, I love action movies, adventure movies, suspense.
Annie fits into none of these categories.
Annie fits none of them. However, I grew up in a family obsessed with musical theater.
This explains a lot.
I am so excited for a remake of Annie. I really hope they do it well.
I don't think it's going to be musical, though.
What's the point, then?
I think it is.
That's a very good question.
It's totally going to be musical.
It has Jamie Foxx. He's always charming, even as a psychopath.
Exactly. There's a clip that has
Jamie
her
Foxx,
singing Tomorrow.
And Jamie Foxx is musically trained and has won Grammys and has had hits. He actually can sing and play piano.
There's also a scene, it's just a clip of it in this preview, where you see a number of the girls at the orphanage, boarding house, whatever.
Orphanage.
Who are like juggling plates while doing the dishes.
Oh yeah.
And it just flashes to it for half a second and then cuts away. But I could totally see that being part of the choreography for Hard Knock Life.
Fair enough.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I'm excited for this. I think it's gonna be. I hope it's gonna be great.
Okay, fair enough. I guess I respect that. I'm not as optimistic. Next one we got, this one is quite a bit of a controversial one. The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, I should make it clear right now, I did not grow up on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I did. I could honestly care less, to be frank. I'm probably gonna be fine with this movie, because, let's face it everybody, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was never meant to be taken seriously. No. Ever! Even the comic books was a parody.
As a satire of the comic book genre. That being said, I grew up on Ninja Turtles.
I did too.
From the age of 4 to the age of 9, I was a Ninja Turtle for Halloween almost every year.
Nice.
I had a Michelangelo mask at one point. I had all of the action figures at one point. Then when I got bored with them, I gave them to a boy who I didn't realize had leukemia, but that made him happy.
Well, I got dark fast.
Yeah.
I got light. She gave a gift to a boy with leukemia. What is dark about that? You jerk. You don't like people with leukemia receiving gifts.
Wes, shut up. I am tired of you trying to warp me in these reviews.
And I had all but 2 of the episodes on VHS at one point. I was a Ninja Turtles fan. So
I'm sure, like, if you're a diehard Ninja Turtles fan, you're gonna fucking hate this movie. I have no doubt. There's gonna be a revolt.
I have, honestly, for all of my challenges, all of my problems with Michael Bay directing and whatnot, I have one real challenge with this movie at this point.
What's that?
Everything else I'm willing to let go from what I've seen.
What?
Megan Fox's April O'Neil is not okay.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of unanimous. Yes, everyone pretty much agrees on that.
I don't care about the amount of time that's gone by. I think that Sigourney Weaver would make an amazing April O'Neil.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, yes, she's older than the character in the comics would be and all. I don't care.
Look what you done to me, Wes.
That's alright. After you die, they will only know you through the lens of my vision. You'll be much like Mussolini. A horrible person. Unless you know your Italian history, you're not certain why.
Oh my god. What have I done?
You invited him.
Look at the monster I've created.
and he's pulling
Look,
the puppet
folks, he's not
strings.
coughing anymore. I've given him a reason to live. I'm a healer.
He's the one pulling the puppet strings, turning you into the monster, apparently.
It all started with Frozen. And it's progressively gone downhill. And then Legend of Hercules happened. And he's been plotting his revenge ever since. All because of a 50-foot lightning penis.
That was the best part of that movie.
Which is the worst part about that movie.
Moving on. Guardians of the Galaxy. We talked about before. I can't wait.
Yes.
Exactly. Check out the other reviews to hear our opinions on Guardians of the Galaxy.
I can't wait either. And other than the trailer, I don't even know anything about those storylines.
And we got the new trailer for Days of Future Past, which, yeah, looks kind of awesome.
Yes.
Even though the whole Quicksilver controversy is still all over the place.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, because it's owned by the rights are owned by both Fox and Marvel, and they're both using the same characters.
They're both using it. They've differently cast it, and it looks like neither one is running the concept that he's Magneto's kid.
Yeah, it's looking that way.
Which is weird, because that's how I know Quicksilver.
Yeah, same here. And we haven't seen Scarlet Witch in the trailer.
That's disappointing.
We saw Scarlet Witch at the end of Captain America.
Yes.
Yeah, but we haven't seen it in the X-Men trailer.
True.
Although we have seen some awesome stuff. We have Peter Dinklage, who is like quickly rising up the rank. You know who Peter Dinklage is,
Oh
right?
yeah, I know who Peter Dinklage is.
He's like now like one of the famous actors out there now because of his role in Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And thank God he's finally getting the star recognition he deserves, which is amazing for a man with with his disadvantages.
He's amazing.
He's a fantastic actor.
He
But
is.
unfortunately, because of his condition, he gets typecast in shitty roles.
Well, yes.
I really liked him in Death at a Funeral.
Hey, who's in Death in a Funeral?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I know he's in a new movie with Robin Williams.
Is he really?
Yeah.
At least I'm pretty sure that's him.
Either way, I'm really glad I thought they were gonna there was a lot of people that were gonna cast him as Wolverine's Canadian sidekick from the comics. Is what they thought they were going to cast. Yeah, Puck. They thought he was going to be Puck. No, that didn't happen.
That would be an insult to him.
Nope.
I mean, for no other reason than making him Canadian. No.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
All right.
So everything's gone wrong since Canada came along. Everyone now, blame Canada. Blame Canada.
We need to form a full assault. It's Canada's fault.
Got all Canadian haters now.
Meanwhile, Canadian haters are like, I'm gonna take you out back and give you the worst apologizing you've ever had.
Get angry comments like, I am mildly upset about this.
I don't know if I could take that. Like, troll rage, I could take. Internet rage, I could take. Someone comment on this review and just say, I'm mildly upset about this. I want to see how I'm able to handle that, because I don't know that I can, you know?
Challenge accepted. Anyway, so we finally get Sentinels in action. We get to see Boulevard Trask. We get to see the future. We get to see Bishop and Warzone, like
Ooh, seeing live-action Sentinels is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah, they released like the first few minutes of the movie. Actually, it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
But we see Iceman. Actually, what Iceman we've wanted to see him do since the fucking first movie. You know, we like ride on the ice slopes, which you've never actually seen him do ever.
I get the feeling you're going to be vastly disappointed.
I was going like for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here's 90 seconds of awesome, and now to the past.
Yeah.
It's always the way.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're gonna explain the whole Xavier walking thing.
Well, you see,
I remember that in a few episodes
legs.
of the cartoon.
No, because at the end of the first class, he gets in his wheelchair. And you see him in the wheelchair, in the trailer, but you also see him walking, so I'm a little confused.
I don't know. I could offer any number of attempts to explain it, from he has telekinesis, so he's really just hovering and moving his legs. Which is just morbid. But
that's fucking horrible. And I'm the bad one here.
Because I'm the one writing the history.
That means one of these days, oh geez, you're gonna kill me. It's like, history is written by the winner.
I had no plan to kill you. You'll surrender before then.
So we've talked about the
final
the
thoughts
trailers.
after that morbid little thought.
Pacing issues aside, I had a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I am going to miss the character of Gwen Stacy. I thought Emma Stone did a great job, and I would recommend seeing this.
I was thoroughly entertained. I had a good time seeing it. I would go see it again. I don't think it's as bad as some people are saying it is. There's a lot of issues. Yes, it is a very flawed movie. The stuff that's there, though, I do think is good. I would recommend checking it out at least once. I think it's at least worth watching once. Is it the best Spider-Man movie? I don't think I'd go that far. I still think Spider-Man 2 is kind of the best for me. But I think it's better than the first one, to be honest. I'm not the Amazing Spider-Man, not the original Spider-Man. There we go. You know what I mean. Anyway, I think it's better than the previous one. There we go. Okay, so Wes.
I liked it. I thought it was really well done. It has some pacing problems. But if pacing is the greatest problem with your movie, you've got a pretty damn good movie.
Agreed.
Okay, so, anything else you want to scare us with before we get off there, Wes?
You always assume I have the scary shit.
Really? Because up to this... Never mind.
That's alright. For anyone who's not certain, go check out the beginning of this video again.